Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love, to Astro Fenixx, flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. And welcome to this new weekly series, Flow and Sacred Transit, where we're going to be talking about the weekly energies. And I have decided to do these weekly videos such as this as a voice recording because for me, I feel like I do my best channeling and observation simply by just talking into the mic. So we're going to start doing these videos, and the intention for these videos is that I will cover Tuesday through Monday essentially. Now whether I come out with these videos every single week on Tuesday is to be determined. It'll probably be sometime between Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday on when I actually release these videos, but this is going to be a weekly report where I talk about the sacred transits of these energies, these celestial bodies, and what we're all being exposed to. So let's get into it, guys. And with these, of course, I will, like I said, talk about the transits, but I'll also talk about my observations, how it's affecting me, how it's affecting you, how it's affecting the collective, and what we can really do about it, because I don't just want to talk about these things. I want to talk about potential solutions to any type of challenges that may come up. Of course, challenges provide an opportunity for growth. They provide the greatest opportunity for growth. A lot of times when things are going, perfect and hunky-dory, there's not a lot of growth there, and there may even be a lack of appreciation for it if we're not aware of how fortunate we really have it and how good we really have it. So I want to start this off with like a bit of a personal message, and I feel like this can apply to a lot of people right now, is the fact that a lot of your fears, worries, doubts, and anxieties that you have right now are valid. They are absolutely valid, but at the same time, they are the least of your worries. They really are. This comes from a meditation that I did the other day, and I won't go into the specifics of this meditation, but what I got from this meditation is that a lot of the things that I've been anxious before have pretty much disappeared, and they have pretty much disappeared into nothingness. And what was interesting is that during this meditation, there was a couple of things that did come up, but one of the things that came up was that about midway through the meditation, maybe about 75% through it, I started having some doubts and fears and anxieties about certain facets of my lifestyle and my life and what's going on with me. And I heard a voice that said, "Who told you to worry about that? Who told you to be afraid of that? I didn't tell you to be afraid of that." That was the gist of what I heard. And that was a very powerful moment. I think a lot of times, a lot of the fears, worries, doubts, and anxieties that we have, we get those and we inherit those from other people, from other situations, and from what other people have told us. But our spirit, our subconscious, never told us these things in the first place. It never told us to fear these things in the first place. So when that came up in my meditation, who told you to fear that? That was a very powerful moment for me, because it reminded me of who and what I should truly be listening to. And you should really be asking yourself the same thing right now. Who and what are you listening to in this moment? I'm not going to sugarcoat it, okay? There is a lot of fear and anxiety, worry, and doubt right now with this recent outbreak and this virus. But it's not the virus itself that's really going to shift humanity. It is this sort of backlash and the results of it. With these financial collapses, people are having to stay at home and all these sort of things. This is a very critical and important time. And I want you all to know that we, as a collective, manifested this from our subconscious because we needed to experience this. This is no mistake. This did not come out of nowhere. It may seem like it comes out of nowhere because a lot of people are not aware of what's happening, and they're trying to apply logic to the situation. But you have to understand that magic is a higher form and a higher octave of logic. So right now what's happening is that in the collective dream that we are all participant in, we have manifested a situation that's going to allow each and every one of us the opportunity to get closer to ourselves, to get closer to our families, and to get closer to our loved ones. And this is something that people fear the most. Why? Because the North Node is in Cancer right now. South Node is in Capricorn. The South Node represents our past life and our past energy coming forth, and this is typically the energy that we will run to before we go to the North Node, which represents family, the home, the mother, the sanctuary. So the North Node is a little bit harder to manifest. It's a little bit harder to work on because we have these past life influences. And it's almost sort of like you've seen those cartoons, you know, like the Looney Tunes where they're like walking back and forth and then they create a trench. That's South Node kind of energy. So it already has some sort of establishment, whereas the North Node is what is to be established. It is the unmanifested. So it's a little bit harder to go into that area. And now we are essentially being forced by the universe at large to go into this area, to go and be quarantined into our homes with our families and with our loved ones. I've said this multiple times to multiple people and just in general, that a lot of people do not know who they dwell with. A lot of people do not know who they dwell with. And ultimately, if you want to look at it at large, we are all roommates because this earth is our home and we are all roommates. But on a smaller individual level, you have other roommates such as your spouse, your wife, your husband, your kids, your pets, and the objects in your house because they have energy too. Don't think that just because something is an inanimate object that it doesn't have some sort of meaning behind it or some sort of spiritual reason behind it. There's energy in that as well. Not only that, but your ancestors are coming up even more so right now. So now that we are all forced into the situation to really look in the mirror and to ask our wife and our husband, who are you? Who are you really? And to ask our kids, who are you? Who are you really? What makes you tick? What do you love? What do you fear? What excites you? What wakes you up in the morning? What are your goals, your dreams, your passions? These are the things that are going to be coming up right now. And it's going to make a lot of people very, very, very uncomfortable because they haven't had these conversations before. They have not done the work. They have not gone out of their way. And it's not really out of your way, but they haven't come off this sort of path that a lot of us have been on of go, 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 go. Essentially, we have been taking the biggest inhale, and now it is time to exhale. And naturally, this is the time that we're supposed to do this. I had a channeling some time back that Pisces season is the time where we're supposed to exhale anyways. And naturally, you're supposed to do this throughout the year anyways, especially during the winter time. It is a major collective exhale. But we live in a society, and particularly in the Western world, where they have confused us and they have convinced us that we are supposed to be taking an inhale for as long as possible without taking an exhale. But this goes against nature, and Gaia is upset about this, which is why she is hurting and crying and is asking for all of her tenants, because we are the tenants of Gaia, we are the tenants of this earth, to take a time out and rest. We are being put in a collective time out. And even those who are in power are privy to this because we are all in this together. This is our home. So now that we are taking this collective time out, and there's no surprise, there's no coincidence that this is happening in Pisces season right before the spring when we are actually meant to spring forward. This is actually the time of the exhale. And in particular, with the winter time, this is the time where pretty much you have done the full exhale, and now you're in that space before you take another breath. And it's in that space before you take another breath that a lot of clarity comes through. But we have created a society that doesn't like to take exhales because it wants to keep just getting bigger and 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 bigger. But even in that moment, I had to pause and take another breath because I couldn't keep saying bigger. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So if you find yourself in your home, if you find yourself working from home, if you find yourself with your kids at home, use this opportunity to get to know your spirit. Use this opportunity to look in the mirror and ask yourself, who are you really? Because this is seriously a time right now where all of these questions are coming forward. All of the things that you have been denying are coming up to be examined. You have to understand that a lot of people do not examine their lives. They just kind of go with the flow. They kind of go with the flow of what they've been told is the true flow, but it's not the true flow. It's not the true flow at all. People are constantly trying to swim upstream, upstream, upstream. Just like in Chinese mythology, the carp that swam upstream and up the waterfall and became the dragon. A lot of you guys are trying to become that dragon right now. A lot of you guys are trying to become that dragon, the head of the dragon, but the only way to really become the head of the dragon, especially in this time, is to allow that current to sweep you downstream. And then once the water becomes calm, you can lay on your back, you can look at the sun as it comes through those trees, and you can be like, okay, this is what it's really about. It's not just about swimming upstream constantly and exerting all of this energy and time into doing so. I need time to rest. Pisces season is a time to rest. And this season is wrapping up very quickly. And there's no coincidence that this is happening during this viral outbreak. We have to understand that the reason why we're in the position that we're in right now is because people's egos are severely bruised. They're hurt. A lot of people have swords in their back. This is some Ten of Swords kind of energy. Okay? This is a major collective ending. This is not just on the personal, but this is the collective ending. And endings yield new beginnings, but only if you allow them to. Only if you allow them to. This is the time where we need to stop watching the same reruns of our favorite shows and actually create the new show, to create the new season. Because that's what's happening. We're heading into a new astrological year when the sun shifts into Aries very shortly. But it's no coincidence that we are where we are right now because of these energies. We have to remind ourselves that Chiron is in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer, and Chiron actually does rule over Virgo. And Virgo energy, of course, the Virgin, it's the largest constellation. It's one of the largest constellations in the sky, so it takes up a great portion of our consciousness and our subconscious because it's one of the largest constellations in the sky, and this rules over our day-to-day life, our day-to-day functions, our health. And why do you think we're having a health outbreak right now? But Chiron is in the sign of Aries, so what is being really attacked is our ego right now. Our character, our action, our warrior selves, our pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, quote unquote, selves. And the reason why it hurts so goddamn much is because Uranus went through this phase before Chiron was there. Uranus, of course, ruling over Aquarius, and we are heading into the Age of Aquarius. We are sort of in this middle stage. We're like beta testing the Age of Aquarius, essentially. Uranus is now officially in Taurus, so we'll not go back into Uranus. And a lot of times people like to associate death with Pluto. But in many ways, Uranus brings a lot more endings too, because Uranus likes to shake shit up. It's kind of like that board game that you used to see on the TV, and maybe some of you guys had it, where you had to put those shapes into like a board by a certain time, but then it exploded. That's kind of what's going on right now. And now that the board has exploded in our life, we are scrambling to pick up the pieces. Now Uranus is in Taurus, so it's breaking apart and restructuring in many ways our value system. But Chiron is coming behind it. So our egos have already been broken up. Now we're just becoming aware of it. Now we are becoming aware of how broken our ego is, how broken our actions have been. But this is the time where now we want to move forward and heal from these energies. And this is going to be a long transit. These energies are going to be here for a while, so it's not really going to escape us. Okay? But let's talk about some of the major things that are happening this week. I have to go back a little bit, and we have to talk about Mercury that just went direct, and Mercury that came into Pisces. This happened on the 16th. This happened early yesterday morning, Monday. And when the moon went into Pisces, when Mercury went into Pisces, we have to look at the moon, because a lot of times with these big transits, I like to look at where the moon was, because this is going to be the predominant reaction that we have, because the moon represents our reactions and our subconscious. So when Mercury direct went into Pisces and it's still in shadow, the moon was at 25 degrees of Sagittarius, conjunct the galactic center point, which means that our galactic heritage, because we have to remember that the galactic center point is in Sagittarius, so it exudes from that space. And then we have the galactic environment and the galactic room. Okay, we have galactic roommates and we don't even know about it, because if you want to think about it, if there are really billions upon billions of galaxies out there, billions upon billions of opportunities, infinite possibilities out there, and the Milky Way is just one of them, then we essentially, the Milky Way, you can look at it as a small house on the block in a neighborhood of so many different houses. And where we are in particular, we're in one room of that house, of that mansion. And that room has been causing a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise coming from that room, so that's why a lot of your ancestors and a lot of you are being contacted by these beings, because quite frankly, we won't shut the fuck up. We won't shut the fuck up. There's like smoke coming out from under the room. And these galactic beings are transporting themselves into our room, and they're seeing the chaos, and it's causing the entire house to go disarray. As above, so below. So the house that we live in this particular, and we have to understand, like, if you want to look at it, the Earth itself is a house, but the galactic, the galaxy, the Milky Way is also a house, and where we occupy is a very, very small room. We may not even occupy a room. We may occupy just an object in that room, considering the mass and the size of this thing. But we're not functioning, and it's causing disarray. So now we are being forced into a situation to where we have to get closer to our spirits. With Mercury going into Pisces, the planet of communication, going back into the sign of its detriment, mind you. This is all about communicating our beliefs. But this is Mercury, the planet of communication, in a water sign. Have you tried to speak underwater? When it's the summertime and you're at the pool, have you gone underwater and have you tried to speak? It's hard to speak, right? Water fills your lungs. So we have to learn to speak in a different way. That's why it's tough for Mercury here. It can't really make logic out of this. It'd rather be in Virgo. Because when someone says something, you can kind of make logical sense out of it. But if they're communicating to you via their feelings, then it's a little bit harder to interpret if you're not aware, if you're not tapped into your subconscious. So the moon being on top of the galactic center point in Sagittarius while Mercury shifted into Pisces means that we were reacting definitely along the lines of our beliefs, because Sagittarius is beliefs, but this is a galactic instance. This is a galactic instance, so it essentially pulls us out of our ego. If it was in the first if it was in the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius, it may be a little bit more personal, about personal beliefs. But this is about the galactic held belief, and we have not been aligned with that energy. So there has been some sort of intervention. Earth is going through an intervention right now. We are being sat down on the couch with our family and loved ones, these other celestial beings, and they're like, hey, yo, you got to get your shit together. We love you. We support you, and we believe in you. but you got to get your shit together. These are the energies that are going on. Let's go forward to Thursday, the spring equinox, the day that the sun moves into Aries, okay? Chiron would have officially moved to 5 degrees of Aries. But we want to also, like I said, look at where the moon is, because that's going to be our predominant reaction to all this. The moon will be at 13 degrees of Aquarius. Why is this important? You take that 1 energy, which is the sun, which is Leo in the heart. You take that 3 energy, which is Jupiter and Sagittarius. You bring it together and you get a 4, which is the Uranus energy. This is basic numerology. You can look it up. Don't take my word for it. Certain planets have certain numbers. Certain energies have certain numbers. So when you get that 4 energy, we're going to be reacting in a very Uranus, Aquarius-like way. And the moon will be in Aquarius. So this is sort of like a no hard feelings kind of energy. Aquarius does care for the collective. But especially with this, you got to look at that 1 first. You got to look at the you first. Okay? You got to look at the you first. And you have to take care of what you need. But at the same time, Aquarius is concerned about the collective. All right? So it's not entirely selfish. Or narcissistic even. Because you got that 3 energy, which is about this higher sense of belief. Bring it together with the 4, and you got Uranus. Breakdown, breakthrough. And guess what? During this time, Uranus will actually be at 4 degrees of Taurus. So that energy comes up. That energy is kind of all over the place. Because Uranus will be at 4 degrees. The North Node will be at 4 degrees of Cancer. Meaning the South Node will be at 4 degrees of Capricorn. And if you want to even look at it further, and you can look the stuff up. I'm not going to show it on my screen. So don't necessarily take my word for it, but look it up for yourself, because I wouldn't lie to you about this. Mars will be conjunct Jupiter at 22 degrees of Capricorn. 2 plus 2 is 4. So we got 4 with Jupiter, 4 with Mars, 4 with the South Node, 4 with the North Node, 4 with Uranus, and 4 with the Moon. This is breakdown, breakthrough, and what a perfect time for a breakdown, breakthrough than the astrological new year, when the sun comes back into Aries and we are meant to spring forth. This is a major moment. I don't really need to spell it out for you. I can explain it, but I also want you to come to your own ideas and conclusions about this. Because ultimately with these videos and these energies and these sort of talking about these flows and sacred transit, I do want to talk about these things and explain them, but I also want you to come to your own conclusions, because ultimately, I don't want to be doing readings forever. And that sounds kind of weird, because you're probably functioning off the mindset that you have to be working and providing services forever for money. But for me, I want to teach, and I want to give people the tools to fish. I don't want to just sell fish to people forever, because then I'm not really doing my job. I'm not doing what I came here to do. I came here to inspire, to uplift, and to give people the tools for their own spiritual expansion. But if I'm so focused on just trying to, give people band-aids, I'm not really doing my fucking job, am I? I'm not here to give a band-aid. I'm here to give a solution. Okay? I love you all. And yes, if you feel the need to, absolutely reach out to yours truly for a reading, because I do love to do this stuff. But I always tell my clients that I'm only reminding you of what your spirit already knows. You may just need like a little bit of a push, and we all need a little bit of a push. We all need that kind of energy, right? When we're learning to ride our bike for the first time, our parents had to push us, or whoever was teaching us had to push us. We all need a little bit of a push. In school, when we were coming up in the schooling system and the educational system, there may be something that we did not understand, but the teacher gave us a little bit of a push, right? It's okay. Sometimes we need that push. Sometimes we need that reading. Sometimes we need that service from someone else. But we also don't want to get to the point where we're so handicapped that we can't figure this shit out for ourselves. And unfortunately, I see this rampant, especially within the New Age spiritual community, where we're just giving band-aids to people and they're buying a reading every month, or they're buying a bunch of card readings, and they're not actually getting anything out of it because they're not trusting their own voice. Like I said, who are you listening to? Like I said earlier, who told you to fear? Who told you to fear and doubt that? Don't you know that you have the power within? You can grab some cards too. You can learn numerology. You can learn astrology too. You can do these things too. I'm not special. I just made the decision to do this. And it was a subconscious decision. We make most of our decisions and manifestations from the subconscious. Don't get it twisted. The conscious, that probably compromises maybe like 0.00, 1% of it. We manifest from the subconscious. And the only way that you're going to get a better hold on this manifestation is if you go into yourself and you meditate. You get to know yourself. You talk to yourself. Out loud, mind you. I do this on the regular. You better talk to yourself. You may worry about people like, oh, they may think I'm weird. They may think I'm bipolar or schizophrenic. And I know that those sort of things actually do exist out there. So I don't want to be insensitive to those individuals or people who have family members or friends who are dealing with those things. But you have to understand that the only way that you're really going to get to know yourself is if you talk to yourself and have full out conversations with yourself. That's so very important. But as I said, like I said, with the sun, when it comes into Aries and we're entering that astrological new year, the moon will be at 13 degrees of Aquarius. This is a major breakthrough in our social connection to other people. You're going to see this. You're going to see this, guys. Not only that, but as the moon continues on forward, that's going to be at the tail end of the day, mind you, when the sun comes into Aries on Thursday. So it's effectively Friday, but it's going to be at the tail end of the day. And in the middle of the night, the moon's actually going to square over to Venus. So a lot of you are going to have dreams where you're going to feel this sense of challenge between what you truly value and what other people may value. And you're going to have to come up with some sort of solution because of that square to Venus, which will be at 15 degrees of Taurus. Actually, it might end up going to 16 degrees of Taurus by the time that the moon squares it. Yes, actually, as the moon squares Venus, it will actually be at 16 degrees. So you take that 1 Leo, Sun, that 6 Venus, Libra, and you net a 7, which is Neptune, Pisces energy. So pay attention to your dreams Thursday going into Friday because they're going to be very important and very telling of what this year is going to hold for you and what it's going to mean. Pay attention to your dreams. Make sure that you keep a journal next to your bed that day. Or at the very least, write about it as soon as you get up. Whatever you can remember, whatever detail that you can remember. You may not remember everything, but definitely pay attention to your dreams Thursday night going into Friday because they're going to be very, very important for what this year is going to hold for you. The other thing that we want to talk about this week, of course, we have, of course, all these energies conjuncting and coming together in Capricorn. But we have one of the big boys, Saturn, which will be coming into Aquarius on the 21st. This is major. Saturn spends about 3 years in a sign, give or take. Now, it will retrograde back into Capricorn later this year and will re-enter Aquarius in December. But Saturn going into Aquarius is beginning a whole new timeline. And of course, this deals with karma. It deals with time. It deals with, what it takes to succeed, putting one step in front of the other, quote unquote, hard work, challenges. But Saturn will gift you. But here's the thing, though. When Saturn goes into Aquarius, the moon will be actually at 7 degrees of Pisces, having conjuncted Mercury by this time. So this is going to be a very spiritual shift. And it's really going to be sort of like, it's going to be like the Age of Aquarius is being officially announced at this time. I say that because Mercury will actually be at 4 degrees of Pisces, which we've already discussed that 4 is about Uranus, Aquarian-like energy. And with the moon being in Pisces at 7 degrees, this is definitely going to be this moment where you're going to feel this. It's almost going to be like, think of it as like you're in a town or whatever like that. Like, think like, medieval and whatever like that. And they announce in the town that the troops are coming home, right? They announce that they're coming home. That's what's going to be happening on this day when Saturn comes into Aquarius and the moon's at 7 degrees of Pisces, with Mercury at 4 degrees of Pisces, making a sextile to Uranus, mind you, as well as trining the North Node and sextiling the South Node, mind you. This is going to be the announcement that the Age of Aquarius is coming. The Age of Aquarius is coming. The Age of Aquarius is coming. Jupiter and Mars will be conjunct. Mars will actually move to 24 degrees of Pisces on Sunday. And all of these energies, Jupiter, the planet of good luck and fortune, Mars, the planet of action, and Pluto, the planet of transformation, will all be conjunct in Capricorn, which Capricorn does rule society, systems in many ways, career, purpose. A lot of that's being shifted and changed right now. We can clearly see that a lot of people are going to be out of work. A lot of people are going to be stuck at home. Even as I say that, stuck at home, when you hear the word stuck, what is stuck remind you of? What energy comes up? Stuck typically has a negative connotation to it, right? You're stuck. You can't move. But what if we change our perspective? Is not moving in this instance, in this time, or in any time a bad thing? Is it a bad thing to be stuck? Sometimes being stuck is a good thing, depending upon the way that you look at it and depending upon your perspective. So right now, society has pretty much come to a grinding halt. We're stuck. But is being stuck a bad thing? We can finally exhale, guys. Isn't this amazing? We've been inhaling and inhaling and inhaling. We can finally take an exhale. We can finally take that deep breath and that deep collective sigh. Because that's really what this is going to be. This is like a collective sigh on Saturday, where we take that deep breath. That's what's going on this day. We got major energy, guys. Mercury shifting, the sun shifting, Saturn shifting. This is huge stuff. And if you think you've seen anything, you haven't seen anything yet. So what can we do about these energies? What can we do about this time that we find ourselves in? We can go into ourselves. We can meditate. We can practice lucid dreaming, astral projection. We can pick up and use those tarot cards that we haven't used yet. We can light some candles. We can write. We can read. We can get to know who we are. We can get to know our family members and our loved ones. We can play board games and have fun with them. We can ask them what their favorite color is, what their favorite color is, what their favorite music is. Get to know each other. Because that's essentially what's happening. We have been roommates for such a long time, but we don't really know each other. And what a travesty that is, that we don't know each other, even though we're all roommates. We don't really know each other. So this is the time to get to know each other. And of course, with the sun in Aries in many ways does rule over the ego. And the ego does serve a purpose. Don't think that it's inherently a bad thing. We're talking about the exalted ego here that we want to kind of step into, where we do serve our best interests. But you have to remember, Aries does trine Aquarius, which is concerned with the collective. So we actually have the opportunity, because sextiles are opportunities, right? So we actually have the opportunity, beloved, to serve our best interest and other people's best interest at the same time. But we have been told that this is a foreign concept and that it's not possible and that it can't be a reality. But the fact of the matter is that it absolutely can be a reality. And many of you have lived in societies where this was a reality. Now we are being asked to bring this energy up again and to recall and to remember where we have been, where we have gone before, and to bring these understandings into this new world so we can create the new paradise. And you have to understand that when you're creating something new, when you're creating a paradise or a utopia or a masterpiece, that it doesn't come without its blood, sweat, and tears. It doesn't necessarily come easy. It takes time, effort, patience, trust, faith, love. A lot of people are fearful right now. A lot of people are fearful right now. But here's the thing about fear. It's never going to go away because fear is the flip side of love. And love is all that is. So, it's all love. It's all love. Fear is the illusion, but fear won't go away. Okay? Because, like I said, it's the flip side of love. And that's what it is. You have nothing really to fear, beloved, but you have everything to love. You have everything to love during this time. Even the harsh times, even the conflicts, even the challenges, there is love within those energies, within those experiences. It may not seem like it at first because you have been told and been conditioned to believe otherwise, that these things are bad and that you should not, that these things cannot possibly bring love, but they absolutely do. We just have to have the courage and the bravery to allow ourselves to feel those energies and to see them. So that's going to just about do it for this video where we are talking about the flow of these sacred transits. I appreciate you all joining me here on Astro Fenixx. I will be seeing you all very, very soon next week where we'll talk about the energies then. And to end this off, I wasn't going to do this, but I will draw a card. I know you guys won't see it, but you can feel it, okay? You can use your imagination too. I think that's what's going to make this very powerful, is me not showing any of this on camera, just recording it, is that it actually allows you freedom, more freedom to use your imagination, because I'm not just giving you the image. So we're going to draw a card from my Sacred Geometry Oracle deck. And that card, my friends, is the card of miracle. The frequency of miracle supports our belief in ourselves as a part of Source, and therefore our belief that anything is possible. So I ask you, my fellow brothers and sisters, what is a miracle to you? How does that look? How does the miracle that you see support your belief that you are a part of Source and therefore anything is possible? Ask yourself that question this week. I'll see you all next time. Stay blessed, stay blissed, and as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and to smile often.